I hear you. You want to grow your glutes. You're turning up to the gym, you're doing all of these glute exercises, hip thrusts, kickbacks, RDLs, but something feels like it's missing, right? Because you're not seeing the results that you actually want. Well, I'm here to help, and I'm going to take you through the 3 biggest mistakes that you are going to be making. And even if you only fix one of these, you're already going to be moving closer towards your goals. And if you want to dive into training even more, download my free guide that takes you through the 7 biggest mistakes and how to actually overcome these. But let's get back to glute training. So you probably wonder how often you should change your training program. There's quite a lot of conflicting information out of there, and there's so many different glute movements that you're probably seeing all over social media, and you're probably thinking, oh, maybe that's the thing that I'm missing. But actually, we do not want to be changing the exercises up all of the time. That is probably one of the worst things that you can do, because you're not going to be able to progress these movements. We have to remember that training is a skill, and it takes time to actually master a movement. And if you're changing up your exercises every couple of weeks, you're not giving yourself the time to actually master the movement and be able to progress the movement. And that is so important. The first few weeks of doing a movement, you are literally learning it. You're learning how to do the movement, you're learning how to connect with the muscle, you're finding your base numbers. So if you're changing up the exercises every session, every couple of weeks, you are not giving yourself the opportunity to actually grow. Think about it this way: if you wanted to go and become a lash tech, the first few times of you doing someone's lashes, they're probably going to be pretty rubbish, right? But the more that you actually do it, you're going to get better at it. You have to put the time into actually learning the movements. If you're just going to the gym and moving a weight from A to B, you're literally just exercising. And we have to be very specific with our training, especially if we want to grow certain muscles. The next one might actually shock you a little bit, but just because a movement might bias your glutes, if you are not executing those movements correctly, they're not going to be hitting your glutes. And this is because an exercise does not determine what muscle does the work, how you perform it does. And I'm sure you've probably done certain movements, maybe like an RDL or a hip thrust, and felt it more in your quads or more in your lower back. And that is simply because your execution can be better, okay? Because if your quads are taken over, your back's taken over, there's very little tension actually going to the glutes. So you might be going into the gym and you might be lifting heavy numbers, but if your glutes do not have the tension on it, they will not be growing, okay? And this is so important, and where so many women get confused, because there's so many women out there that can lift really freaking heavy on a hip thrust, but their glutes are still not growing, and that's just because the tension isn't going where you want it to go. When I said at the start that training is a skill, you really do have to learn how to brace properly, how to make sure that you're stable in a movement, where your pelvic position is, where your center of mass is, where your foot pressure is. All of these things are important. And don't get me wrong, if you're starting out, you cannot possibly think of all of these different things, but that's why you want to do things in stages and not just get complacent with the fact that you can lift an exercise. You always want to make sure that you continue learning. If you've got a coach, make sure that you're getting training videos so you can get that training feedback. The value in this is so friggin' important. Like, I cannot stress this enough. I have been in the industry for 5 years and I still send training videos to my coach. Why? Because I'm always looking for that 1% detail, right? To be that 1% better, because that's what it takes. As soon as you get complacent with a movement and think that you know it all, that is where your progress is going to stop. We have to make sure that when we're training, the force is actually going to the muscle that we want to grow. So if you're someone who feels movements more in their back, in their quads, just know it's not just meant to be like that. There is things that you can do to improve this, and it's not just your genetics. So diving into the third one, to be honest, social media has not helped with this at all. All the glute bands, all of the feel the burn, oh, my glutes are burning, so I must have been training really hard. No, feeling the burn is not an indicator that you are progressing a movement. I'm sorry to say, but it's not. We have to learn how to push through the burn. We have to make sure that we are adding progressive overload. So once you've got execution nailed, we need to make sure that we're increasing our reps, we're increasing the load. But it's not just lifting heavier. We have to make sure that every single rep looks the same, because if you do an exercise and it looks bang on to begin with, you increase the weight and now you're only doing half reps, well, you're not going to get out of the movement what you're trying to get out of it, because you have now changed the exercise. So you have to make sure that the reps look the same. We have to make sure that we're pushing ourselves enough in that training session. Most women stop when they feel the burn, but you have to fight through that. Essentially, when we are training, right, we are recruiting muscle fibers. Yeah, that is what we're doing. There's two types of muscle fibers, and the second muscle fiber that we recruit is the one that sends that signal for growth. But we only recruit those muscle fibers when we're fighting for our life. And I'm sorry to tell you, I mean literally fighting for your life. When those last reps feel so hard that you don't think you can actually do it anymore. When those reps are slowing down without you trying to make it slow down. Those are the reps that really, really count. So it's so important that you're not just going into the gym and doing 3 sets of 10 reps, because if you're managing to do 10 reps on every single set, you are not pushing yourself hard enough. And when you're looking at rep ranges, always remember that a rep range isn't a set rule. If you can get more than the rep range, that's what you need to do, and then increase the weight on the next set. If you just stop at 10 because that's what it says on your program, why are you stopping? Yeah, you're literally stopping because your program tells you to stop. Your body's not telling you to stop. You have to push to the point where your body is literally screaming at you and your mind's literally screaming at you to stop. You have to train your brain, right? And again, training's a skill. You've got to train your brain that actually, do you know what? You're okay. You're safe. This is what you're actually meant to be doing. Now, there is so much that goes into training, and I don't want this to be overwhelming for you. Even if you only take one piece of information and you go and apply that, your training's already going to start to level up. But if you do have any questions, always feel free to reach out. I'm always more than happy to help. And don't forget to download that free guide if you want more information to help you out with your training. Hope you found this useful. If you have, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and all of that good stuff. And I'll catch you in the next one.